about marbling on paper. But before we get started, we need to do some prep. The first thing we need to do is make our carrageenan.
Carrageenan comes in a powdered form, and I buy mine from Thales in 5-pound bags. So you need your carrageenan powder and just a regular blender. This blender has a half-gallon capacity, which is useful because it makes measuring much easier, because you use a tablespoon of carrageenan powder to a half-gallon of water. So put it in a blender for a couple minutes, and then you just dump in a bucket with a lid and let it sit overnight.
So here's my stack of paper. I've marked the backs of the paper with an X. You want to make sure you alum the front of the paper. Alum also comes in a powdered form. I bought this from Dharma Trading. Thales also sells it.
Once you've marked all your paper, you're going to flip it over, and this is when we're going to start aluming. When you alum your paper, you should wear gloves, because the alum, though not harmful, can be very drying to your skin. So I'm just going to put on some gloves. Alum comes in a powdered form. You mix 1/3 of a cup to a gallon of water. So when I mix my alum, I mix it in a water jug like this. Shake it up so it's nice and mixed, and then I like to use a spray bottle to alum my paper. So I just pour what I need into the spray bottle. You want to use a clean sponge, and what you do is go ahead and spray out your paper, and then use your sponge, kind of spread it all over evenly. I've got one. I have a stack of blotter papers here. I'm going to slip my alum sheet of paper in between these blotters. Just here. I'm going to go on to the next sheet. Take a board, just lay it on top while it dries so it can dry flat. We'll leave that for a few hours. A lot of times I'll alum my paper the day before and let it dry overnight. Works out well because with marbling, there's quite a bit of prep you need to do ahead of time. You need to alum your paper, you have to make the carrageenan. Carrageenan needs to be made the day before you plan to marble. Probably want to mix your paints the day before too. So there's a lot of prep. Okay, let's get started. I've already tested my colors in my bath, which is why you see some color in here. I've skimmed it off and it's good to go. What you see here is not going to affect my pattern because it's underneath the surface. We're only concerned with the surface of the bath. So you start off with the background color. Let's use this dark blue. Start with just a line down the center, and then another line of color just inside the first one. On either side. you'll notice that the color will spread to a certain point and not really go much further because of the surface tension on the surface of the bath here. So I'm going to help it out with just a piece of newsprint. Just kind of pull that color all the way to the edges. Just like that. On both sides. And in my blue here, couple big chunks of paint that didn't get quite mixed in, so I'm going to try and just pick it up a little bit with some scraps of newsprint. And I'm going to go with the second color, the lighter blue. Yellow. I could just keep adding colors. Pretty much as many colors as you want. But there will come a point where the paint will stop spreading on the surface and it will start sinking just because there's no more room. So this red, because I'm putting it on at the end, you'll notice it's not spreading as much or as far. I have here a metallic gold, so certain colors tend to spread more than others. Gold likes to spread quite a bit, although this one's not spreading as much, hardly at all, so I'm going to stop here and start building my pattern. Good rule of thumb is start with the largest space tool. So I'm going to start with my comb. Move these out of the way. This comb is notched, which is really handy because it fits perfectly on my tank. So start with the Get Gel going this direction. Slide this over, back up. Back and forth a few times. My goal here is to get nice long stripes. Good. I'm going to take my nonpareil comb here. Let's see, it has smaller spacing between tines. I'm going to go down with it. I'll move kind of slow because if you move too fast, you can create waves in your bath, and that could disturb your pattern. You'll notice as I'm doing this that the patterns build on each other. So I could stop here with a pretty traditional nonpareil. Or I can keep going with my bouquet comb to make bouquet, which I will. So this comb has 2 rows of nails that are offset. So there's 2 here and there's 1 in between all the way down. And for this one, you draw it through the same direction as the nonpareil, but you do it in a S motion to create the bouquets. So whatever you see on in your bath is what you're going to get on your piece of paper. So I could have stopped at any point, laid my paper down, and that would have been the pattern that was on my paper. So I'm going to stop here with the bouquet. Grab a piece of pre-allumed paper. This paper has been pre-allumed. And you want to hold it by opposite corners. Lay down one corner first and kind of roll it down onto the surface of your bath. It's a little bit tricky if it's breezy out, so the wind will blow your paper. Then grab a board and just gonna flip this up onto my board. There's my sheet of paper. Okay, I just pulled my sheet of paper, and now I'm going to give it a rinse with just some plain water. Just gently rinse it off. This gets rid of any excess carrageenan or excess paint that might be sitting on your paper. Sweat. Good idea to do this outside. There we go. Hang it up to dry and got yourself a sheet of marbled paper. Okay, I just pulled my sheet of paper. You'll see that there's still some paint on the surface of the bath here with an empty spot right here where my paper was. I'm going to show you how we clean this off so we can do our next piece of paper. I like to use strips of newsprint. You can also cut up pieces of newspaper. Some people use a skimming board. I find that the newsprint works really well and is really inexpensive. So just cut newsprint into little strips like this and just lay it onto the surface starting at the top and just pull towards you. And you're skimming all that paint off the surface of your bath. Do that a couple times. As you're working, your bath will get kind of muddy, but it doesn't affect the paper that you're making because it's all below the surface. Well, I hope you enjoyed the marbling demonstration today.